Hi, this is Steve with SystemsEngineeringPrep.com, and I'm going to be talking about the upcoming release of INCOSE's System Engineering Handbook version 4 and the impacts that'll have on the CSEP and ASEP exam. INCOSE has announced that version 4 of the handbook will be released this spring, and that's as precise as they've been about a date for the release. So there's still some uncertainty about exactly when the new handbook will be released. INCOSE has, however, been very specific about the last day to take the exam based on version 3.22 of the handbook, and that day is June 30th. Following June 30th, there'll be a 2-week pause, and then beginning July 15th, the exam will again be available, but based on version 4 of the handbook. As you might imagine, the exam is not going to get easier. And to see why, let's look at a summary of the changes from version 3.22 to version 4. There were 5 editors and more than 55 authors involved in the new edition of the handbook. Well, from the handbook itself, we know of the existence of Conway's Law. An organization that designs a system, and a system could be something like a handbook, that organization will produce a design whose structure is a copy of the organization's communication structure. Well, based on the organization that we saw previously, do you think the handbook got smaller? Not a chance. It's significantly larger. Let's look at some of the announced reasons INCOSE has for driving this change. They wanted to be in closer alignment with 15.288. They wanted to take advantage of some of the work from the various INCOSE working groups. They wanted content consistent with current state of practice. And finally, they wanted to be consistent with the system engineering body of knowledge. They very definitely wanted the new handbook to look different than the current handbook. They did want to retain the spirit of the current handbook, but they intentionally wanted to make it look different. They changed the formatting of the pages, they changed the size, they changed the cover art, and of course the content. They also announced that they will be providing new ebook formats for the handbook in a wide variety of formats for the different handheld electronic readers. And finally, that the handbook will be published by Wiley versus self-published by INCOSE. Well, let's begin by looking at some changes that they applied to all the chapters. And that change has to do with the context diagrams. If you've looked in the handbook, you're familiar with this, and you've no doubt noticed that the controls and enablers are frequently the same from one process to the next. Well, they wanted to eliminate that redundancy. Jumping to Chapter 2, you can see that they've added 4 additional sections in Chapter 2 alone. And as we go through this, if you just want to mentally keep note of words in red, that'll help you just understand how much new material has been added. Well, right off the bat, we've got 4 new sections. In Chapter 3, we've added a new section on iteration and recursion, and 2 new case studies on cybersecurity and designing for maintainability. Chapter 4 is really the heart of the handbook, and so, as you might expect, there are significant changes in that chapter. We have new sections for business or mission analysis process, and then down there at the bottom, 4.6, system analysis process is new as well. Other sections have been renamed and revised, and as you can see in 4.4 and 4.5, some have been split apart. Well, you can believe that every time a new section is added and or split apart, that produces a rich ground for new questions on the exam. Continuing in Section 4, we've got significant added reference and concepts from the Systems Engineering Body of Knowledge and 15.288. In Chapter 5, we've got an added section as well to match 15.288. Chapter 7, another added section on knowledge management process. In Chapter 8, we have 5 new sections. So obviously INCOSE wants to put in increased emphasis on the tailoring process. Chapter 9 highlights an expanded modeling and simulation and model-based system engineering section, and an additional section on interface management. Chapter 10, specialty engineering activities. We can see they've expanded reliability, availability, and maintainability, and they've added resilience and system security engineering. The current version of the handbook had 189 references, and those were distributed at the end of each chapter. Version 4 has centralized those in a single appendix, but now there are 385 total references. And the context diagrams have been moved to a new appendix to help remove the redundancy and reduce the page count of the handbook. Well, were you keeping track of all those items highlighted in red? There's a lot of new material. Well, what I'd like for you is to avoid the hassle. If you begin preparing now, you can take the exam before June 30th. That'll save you time and a lot of headache because you won't have to deal with all that new material. And importantly, why wait? This could be the impetus to get you started and moving so that you finally get the CSEP. And obviously if you're here, it's because you already know the CSEP or ASEP is the credential to boost your career. And SystemsEngineeringPrep.com has the tools to help you succeed. These are just a few of the emails that we receive from satisfied clients, customers, and now new CSEP or ASEP. So join us at SystemsEngineeringPrep.com and keep your career in high gear to your success.